Rebecca?
She's actually had a family emergency, so I think Nicole is going to say a few words.
I've got her notes.
She has her notes.
Okay, I guess Nicole has Rebecca's notes, and we'll be introducing Greg. Come on up.
Attendez! Professor Monahan! Oh, mais
my
oui!
God!
Oh, c'est moi!
No, apparently Louis XIV will be introducing Greg.
Professor Monahan. Oh,
Monsieur,
merci.
le microphone.
Qu'est-ce qu'on Bonne nuit! Necessarily. Don't look for that Rebecca. She's not here. Associate professor, to introduce you. This silverback. Sacré bleu. You need the Sun King. C'est moi. You can't see very well. Besides, she said she could not read your writing in that prepared statement you insisted she read. Where is Dick Masson? Dick Masson, le journaliste. Oh, I call him. I said, this is the king. I call you Dick Masson, you must come. An event of this import? Oh, we need the for the state, no? Imagine my surprise when I found out he had already been contacted by Professor Monahan. A man who none of you can accuse of being guilty of underestimating his own self-importance. No. So, in fact, he commissioned this. When it's small, it's big. It must be his. He commissioned not only the chair, Gizer, but his own piece of art. Oui. Le EOU, c'est moi. Also tonight, we say au revoir notre ami before he drives off into the sunset to Portlandia, in his grand gold-trimmed pimpmobile. I understand from Shock Court that he was enjoying those Cadillacs long before he was in that demographic niche, which he is squarely in now, no? Oh, I seem to be turning Russian, or maybe Dr. Strangelove, Italian or something. So perhaps I will now speak in your dialect of the Eastern Oregon to say a few words. To introduce our dear colleague, Greg Monahan. Thanks to the Oregon Trail, Greg arrived at Eastern Oregon State College in 1985. Silly jokes about age, I know, too easy. We're academics here. Plus, I'm just not always a very funny person. The Steves can cover that part. So instead, let's put it into historical context. Greg arrived here about the same year that Brian Derringer was trying on his first pair of training pants. And through those years, Greg has, in fact, become legendary extraordinary teacher. Role-playing has made him famous. He's a great lecturer. He's a guy who's made for the classroom. Where else can he revel for 50 minutes in the uninterrupted pleasure of the sonorous music of his own voice? A voice he loves second only to Old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra. And he certainly has a well-deserved reputation for always having something to say. In fact, his former students sent me stories, and the most famous one was about the time that Greg, in character, stood in front of the class and his pants fell to the floor. And did they remember the fact that their professor stood before them half naked? No. What they commented upon was that for the first time, Dr. Monahan was at a loss for words. And while it is true that he did terrible things to students' phones if they rang in class, including answering them, confiscating them for days, and once, famously, farting on one, he remained beloved of his students. And over the years, he responded gradually to their changing needs. We all know Greg has never enthusiastically embraced change. He still uses the same spreadsheet software program that he used in 1985. Less well known is that it really was because of students that he finally converted from using a slide projector to PowerPoint. 2 years ago. Why? He had mentioned to the student, I have an extensive collection of slides. I've gathered them throughout the years. And the student looked at him confused and said, you have thousands of slides? And Greg said, of course. There may be pictures better, but I took these. And the student said, oh, I just blew the joke. And the student said, you have slides? He said, yes. He said, the student said, where do you collect them from? Old playgrounds? And even now, his last year, his last 400 minutes, he continues to embrace change. In fact, this year, he admitted to all of us that he in fact knew that Blackboard was a course management system and not a chalkboard. And while on younger professors, Monahan's ties and sports coats might be hipster vintage, on Greg, even in Portlandia, not so much. But he is beloved of his colleagues as well. Through the years, he has been a true faculty leader for us. Who else do we know who forced Pernsteiner, the chancellor, to flee a packed auditorium to regain his composure after Greg had challenged him in that meek, timid meeting voice Greg used over the years? Seriously, Greg was instrumental in founding the union, along with Kathleen and Rosemary and others. He even helped to create this function tonight, or so he told me, I'm assuming I'm telling the truth. He's DJ'd his long-running jazz radio program. He's drooled and groped on the Mackenzie stage, and he has worked tirelessly over the years to advocate for faculty interests on campus and statewide. And he has truly devoted himself to Eastern. He's truly loved this institution. And he's been a great mentor and colleague to me as well. And like all great teachers, he's touched students' lives in many ways he may never realize. And if I start crying, I'm going back to Louis. Karen Clay told me this, and I quote, and I don't think you know this.
Greg has been instrumental in transforming my son Dominic from high school dropout into budding intellectual. If Eastern had a career-long MVP award, Greg would have my vote. EOU has been enriched by his presence. We will miss him, and I am honored to call him my friend.